Hello and welcome to episode 14 of the Null Sector podcast, home of the vibes, a shelter for the baseline enthusiast, and hangout session for just about everyone in between. I am Null, also known as Jake, and let's fucking chill, dude. Can't find the intro. What the fuck is up, chat? This one is actually not live. Just didn't work out today, but we are recording episode number 14, which is crazy. It feels like it's been a while. It hasn't really. It's only been 2 weeks, but we're here. A little bit later in the day. It's a little overcast outside. The setup looks nice. If you see right there is our main man, Panda Bear. Panda! There he is. Oh, what baby. Today, drink of the day because it's tradition. I'm finally trying it. I have been wanting to try it for a while because I don't drink these. But I'm trying Original Rockstar, which is just the gold and black can. Original flavor. Never had it. I mean, it looks really nice. It's kind of my aesthetic, but we're going to see what it tastes like. Because it's tradition for every episode, we must have our drink, whatever it is. So this probably won't pick up, but let's crack her open, dude. Oh, yeah. All right. Place your guesses on what this is going to taste like, because I have no idea. Nah, for real. That tastes like Monster. That tastes like Original Monster, like the black and green Monster. It's got like a slight berry-ish flavor to it, kind of. The battery acid flavor. Okay. Oh, that's a flavor I'm used to. Battery acid. Anyway, our topics for today, which we are going to be breaking tradition a little bit. We'll get to why, but today we're only going to really have 2 topics, but we got a lot to talk about, so that's okay. We're going to talk about many things, of which we have Gambino's final album. It's going to be a big one. And then Blade and Sorcery 1.0 is finally out, and it's fucking cool. But most of our conversation is going to be wrapped up in Gambino and our small talk and content update. So without any hesitation, let us get to our small talk update. Yeah, dude, it's been a while, but we're here. So now we're going to do that. So this has just been, it's been a rough weekend for me in general. Really just a rough week for various reasons. I've been sick for I think I got sick on Tuesday, basically. I have yet to figure out what I had or have. It's very strange because I definitely had a low grade fever that at some point went up farther than a low grade. I don't have a thermometer or whatever you use, whatever they're called. So I don't know what it was. But the weirdest part is the entire time I had a faint sore throat and ache in my throat, but never enough to really be problematic. It was just barely there, but it was noticeable. But I had no congestion whatsoever, and I didn't sneeze, which never happens. For me, whenever I'm sick, that's always a thing. But this is the first time I've ever been sick where I didn't sneeze and I didn't have any congestion whatsoever, but I just felt sick. No real stomach upset either. It was the weirdest thing. I still don't know what it was. Some kind of virus, I guess. It was mostly just head feel, and I just had no energy at all. I was just fucking dead. Just standing up took too much energy. Lifting my arms took too much energy. I had to go to work at my very physical job for 10 hours, but such is life, and I'm doing much better now. Took about 5 days, but it's on its way out the door, and I still don't know what it was. So we're almost there, and that's good. That set me back a lot. I had plans to record a video. I actually was considering not recording this podcast because I was sick, but come Sunday night here at about 4 p.m., which I don't know why I consider that night, but I do at this point in my life. I'm feeling okay enough to record an episode, so I'm doing that so we can stay on our schedule because I hate breaking the podcast schedule. It's the only thing I can do consistently, so we're trying to keep it. To get into our actual small talk, first of all, I was sick, so that's the big one. Second thing is a little sad, but it is what it is for now. We found out that our little old rat dog, Chihuahua, has a heart murmur. So that's very sad. But the vet we don't know a lot yet, but we have access to medication and she's going to get an ultrasound and everything. So we're hoping good things. She's an older dog. She's like 11 or 12, so she's technically a senior. But we started her on some supplements to help with things. And then as things progress, we'll get her on heart medication. So it's not too bad. I don't think it's too bad. I did a lot of research and there's a lot of evidence that suggests that dogs with heart murmurs can live long and happy lives as long as they're medicated, and that it can really almost affect nothing as long as it's not too bad and it's medicated. So fingers crossed for our little rat dog. We love her very much, but we'll see where that goes. Podcast is breaking form, not really for the first time, technically not, but pretty much because it's been a long time. So only 2 topics today. What else? I finally started watching Jujutsu Kaisen, which I am lovingly referring to as Gojo Siwa to annoy my friends. But I like it. It's actually great. I tried to watch the show like a year ago, and for whatever reason, I couldn't get into it. I think it was like the 4th episode when they went to whatever high school, college, whatever they went to, and they started introducing like 5, 6 new characters at once. I was like, I can't. But started rewatching it, and you know what? This time around, I'm actually enjoying it a lot for what it is. For as a very anime, it's very cute, and it's kind of endearing how it's unapologetically the way that it is. And the comedic writing is actually pretty funny. The dub translation is really good. And for whatever reason, they're referencing Jennifer Lawrence in Smash Bros, which is not a thing I'm used to. So it's pretty funny. I'm on like episode 6 or something, but I'm enjoying it so far. Oh yeah, Transformers 1? Is that the name of it? The new Transformers movie that's coming out, I think. Yes, it is. Transformers 1. I saw a clip of this on the old TikTok. And I thought it was just some animated Transformers TV show that was really funny. And it made me think, man, I want to watch that. And I went to go look it up. And apparently it's not a TV show, it's a movie, and it's coming out. I'm actually pretty excited for it. People have mixed opinions about it. It is animated based off the traditional designs from the original show. And it's following young Optimus Prime back when he was a young soldier, which I think, if I know my lore correctly, he was technically called Orion Pax in that era, but he becomes Optimus. I'm not sure. I think it's something like that. I don't know too much about OG old Transformers lore, but there's one scene in the trailer where, because Optimus is young, he's all cocky. He walks up to a Decepticon, I think. I'm not sure. I can't remember. He walked up to some big menacing guy, and the whole premise, I think, is that at a certain age, younger Transformers have not gained the ability to transform into an alternate form yet. It's like a rite of passage kind of thing they attain at a certain journey as a soldier, I think. And so this one guy's picking on Optimus, and he's like, you can't even transform. And then Optimus turns around and holds up his fist, and he says, hey, Darkwing, I got something that can transform. And he makes the Michael Bay transforming sound, and he like lifts his middle finger up. And then his friend pops on screen and he says, allow me, and then just punches Optimus in the face. It was really funny. I did not expect that kind of humor coming from it. Apparently, this is the part that people are kind of upset about. Apparently, young Optimus is voiced by Chris Hemsworth, aka Thor from the Marvel movies and many other things. It's definitely a different take on Optimus, but I mean, he is supposed to be like a little young guy, so I don't mind it, to be honest. He actually seems like he's doing a pretty good job. He's a decent voice actor, so as long as it's not Chris Pratt, I'm happy. The same man cannot be allowed to be fucking Garfield and Optimus Prime and Mario and ruin all three of the roles. It cannot be. So Chris Hemsworth, I'm fine with it. I don't see the issue that much. It's a different take on purpose, so I think it's fine. So I'm excited for that. I don't know when it's coming out, but I'm super excited. I want to see it. At the time of recording, Deadpool 2, or no, Deadpool 3, the last Deadpool movie just came out like 4 days ago. Haven't seen it yet. I have heard only good things. Deadpool and Wolverine, I want to see it really, really fucking bad. It seems like a fantastic movie. I love the Deadpool movies, so that's the thing that people should see if you can. Fun fact for you. My Google Pixel 6 right here, this fucker, is cracked again. The screen is cracked again, except like as before, it's not the screen, and it's my glass screen protector has saved my phone for the third time. So I don't have to go into that again, but if you ever doubted glass screen protectors, please don't, and please get them because they are glorious. And I'm now constantly checking my screen on my phone at work because I'm horrified that it's going to break. But oh well, what's a guy to do? I only have one glass screen protector left, so I'm gonna have to order more soon next time it cracks, which I still have not been able to figure out how it just sits in my pocket and cracks the screen. I still don't know. I have theories. I'm trying to be careful at work. I operate a bunch of heavy equipment, so it's very easy to smack your leg into something without meaning to that could, damage something in your pocket. So that's my only theory. One thing that's sad about the Pixel 6, I really do love it. I think I'm sold on Pixel phones. And if this phone dies, I will probably get another Pixel. Maybe just a little bigger version if I can find it. I don't know if it's like Samsung where it's like 6 Plus or not, but the bigger version of the Google's Pixel 6 I might get. Or a newer model one day whenever this thing dies. I'm hoping I'm going to have it for a long time. Because right now, it's great, and I love it so much. One thing that sucks, this is my Fitbit on my arm here. It's an Inspire 2, so it's a little older. It's a little more basic as far as smartwatches go nowadays. It does not have any functionality to connect to my Pixel 6 whatsoever. It just does not work. And I don't know if that's because it doesn't work over Bluetooth, or what the issue is, but it just will not connect to my phone, which really sucks. It really actually sucks a lot. I really wanted to use it with my new phone, but oh well. I've been thinking that I kind of want to maybe get one of those nice like smart watches, like an actual one, like a Samsung one, or if there's such a thing as a Google Watch or a Pixel Watch, maybe I could get that to complete the ecosystem. But I like my old Fitbit. It's not even that old, really. Not really. It's kind of old, but the one I had before was even older. I got this one as a Christmas present a couple of years ago, but I love this thing. I use it every day. It's gone through the trenches with me. I've had to replace the band on it, but I love this thing. I love having a smartwatch. I really miss the main thing, which is getting notifications from my phone and being able to just quickly glance at my wrist, especially when I'm busy. I miss that a lot. It would be really nice to have like a real smartwatch. So I don't know if the Google smartwatch is a thing. You know what? Let's find out, because I'm pretty sure it is. Google Pixel Watch. Smartwatches is something that I've never really gotten into that much. Oh my God. Yeah, no, it's a thing, and it's very, very expensive. Google Pixel Watch 2 for $350. I mean, it looks okay. It actually doesn't look as cool as I was hoping it was. I think it's Samsung, their watches that are kind of a square shape. I don't know why that looks so nice to me, but it really does. It looks to me like the Pixel Watch is very just basic. It's just a circle. That's it. Just a very nice glass engraved, coated circle. Nothing to shame, just simple. But that's okay. Well, maybe not a Pixel Watch, honestly, just based off the aesthetics. What does the first one look like? Google Pixel Watch 1. Also a circle. Okay. Well, that's okay. Who knows? Maybe one day I can get my hands on a watch of some kind. That's pretty much it. Not too long of an intro for the small talk. There's a couple things I've been thinking about. But let's waste no time, because we have a lot to talk about today. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for content update. Yeah, dude. Content update, which is, what do we got? Yes. So, it's crazy. I feel like I already announced this. Guess I didn't. That's wild. Time is really passing, ladies and gentlemen. The song that I was working on before, that I may have shared with you on the previous podcasts, which I named Digital Reaper, is now finished. Woo! I need a soundboard. Just fully embrace the Curtis Connor and get a podcast soundboard. Also, I like the hair today. I did my hair not that long ago, and the curls are just, they're there today, man. They're just there. Finished Digital Reaper, so that's great. So that's one song completely finished, already rendered out in FLAC, ready to upload whenever as part of the EP. So that's great. I'm making real progress on the EP, so that's validating for like the first time ever. I've hit a stride with balancing my hobbies, such as this podcast and my music and my YouTube channel, in against my actual, day job. I'm trying to work in, relaxing and doing other shit on my off time. But I'm getting closer to, to managing everything as one should. And I am really trying to learn to be okay with just forever having this day job and embracing it. And I think I'm getting there. And if my music or my hobbies ever take off, that'd be cool, but it doesn't have to. And it can just be said hobby. So just making valid progress on the EP is cool, because that never happens. I've been working on a new song that is going into the EP as well. No name yet, but I have definitely been inspired by Gambino's last album. Holy shit. He is such an artist. He is one of those artists that really embraces art and like, what's a good way to describe this? Is not afraid to like make things weird and break the norm, which sounds so like stereotypically cringy wording, but really it's inspiring when you hear stuff that isn't just the same as everything else, which nothing has to be different. It's okay to make stuff that's the same, but man, is it cool hearing stuff that's different every now and then. Because of that, which we're going to talk about that album. We got a whole section dedicated to that. But because of that, it's kind of inspired me to be a little bit more artistic, a little bit more loose with my stuff. Not try to be so rigid and just do whatever. And if I feel like doing something weird and cool, just fucking do it, dude. Fucking do it. Nobody's going to stop you, man. Proud of myself for making real progress every 2 weeks, which is something that never happens. I'm trying my best not to beat myself up for not making progress in like the last 3 weeks on my YouTube, but I was sick for this whole week, which was when I was planning on getting back into it. So, hey man, we'll see. We will see, because as of right now, I have next week. So starting tomorrow, which is Monday for me at the time of recording, tomorrow's Monday, and I have till the next Monday, which is, what day is that? That is Monday the 12th. So I have from now until Monday the 12th to fully record and edit a video for my YouTube. Oh boy. And I don't know if that's going to happen. I really don't. I really hope it does, but there is no guarantee. Holy shit. Thank you. Thank you, carbonated drink. For context, last time that I edited a video, which was Sample Gamble episode 2, last time that I did that, it took me pretty consistently off and on about a month to finish. So, we will see. We will see. I'm usually pretty tired after work, so I tend to not work on editing and like recording because sometimes I don't feel it, while we're in content update, before we move on, it would be worth seeing if we have had any meaningful updates on the statistics on episode 2. Because I don't think so, which is about what I thought, which is interesting. Yeah. So basically we've got, I think from the last time I recorded, I said I had about 63 views or something like that. We've gained like 2. So since then, not much has changed. And that honestly makes a lot of sense because of what I talked about previously with the naming scheme that I changed afterwards, blah, blah, blah. So it definitely didn't perform as well. So we're going to see if the next one can perform a little bit better. Oh yeah, speaking of finishing things, I have a note here. As I said, as I rewrite my notes, for example, I erase my note from last time that said Digital Reaper is almost done and it has a name now. And I replace that note with Digital Reaper is finished. That feels great, man. That feels super epic. I think each track of the EP, this is my idea, is going to be in a different vocal style, or at least as best as I can pull off that I'm comfortable with right now. First one is kind of future bass, house, pop, and second will be kind of rock, punk, bass music, kind of. I have no idea on the third one yet. Well, there's been some updates since I last wrote this. I found an old song. Okay, no, I did include this. I must have typed this later. I found an old song I was working on for the example EP. Holy shit, a long time ago. I think before I even had a name for the EP or even knew I wanted to do an EP, it was just a song I was working on that I tried vocals in. And lost my place on my notes. I was surprised I didn't finish it. So I decided that's exactly what I'm going to try to do. And I'm kind of hyped. I got to get, as I've been working on it, so I haven't touched this file in, man, at least a year, I think, or close to it. When I was working on this song, I was still working at my old job, which was Home Depot. What a fucking place to work, by the way. Don't ever do that. Back when I still worked there, which was a while ago, was when I was working on this song. And I remember I'd play this at work. And while I was driving around on the forklift and shit outside, because I did overnight work, I just blasted on my Bluetooth speaker, which was hilarious. But it's a process. It helped me refine things for later. So I haven't touched that song until this year. And as you can probably imagine, the issues that I always have when making music is that I get so much better at it within the time frame that I stopped working on something to when I pick it back up that I don't feel like finishing it, because I basically would have to redo the whole thing to make it up to the new standard of quality that I'm able to achieve. But this one's not so bad. I've been trying to nurture it. I've been trying to bring it to an acceptable state. There's a lot of really mostly what it is mixing. It seems like I just did no mixing whatsoever. Maybe I didn't have a good concept of it back then, but every single track has been untouched, full spectrum of frequency on everything, and it's all just clashing. So I've been trying to trim everything down and make it sit nicer in the mix. I've been trying to change some of the patches that I used. We're getting there. I'm still not 100% sure if I want to use it. I think I do. I mean, I really do like it. There's just some things I want to work on. So we'll see if it makes it in there. It'd be convenient if it does, because it's basically finished. All I really need is a chorus. I mean, a bridge and another chorus, and the whole song's done, which sounds like a lot, but it's not too bad. So if I can pull that off, we'd have song number 2 done. And I'm already starting to work on song number 3. So we're almost there, dude. We're almost there. I hope I can finish it in like the next 2 or 3 months, and I can release like my first set of like 3 real songs that like are actual songs that I'm proud of. I don't really have anything on my discography anywhere that like I'm super proud about. So hopefully that would work. That'd be great. Got to get a new video going and focus on that. Like I said, got some cool ideas. I think I talked about them before. I did. Well, I at this point, we might just do Sample Gamble episode 3, to be honest, just for time's sake, since we only have a week. That's going to be easier to record, and I know what I'm doing. The other ideas that I had are more like experimental, that I haven't done before on the channel, and I want to do them, but I don't have a lot of time, so we'll have to see about that. But we made it to 30 minutes, and we actually got through our intro stuff pretty quickly, as we usually don't. So there's all of our content update for now. So let's get on to both the title of this episode and what you may have been waiting for, which is topic number 1. Gambino's final album. So let me write this down. I have to have my timestamps. So this one's crazy. I didn't even know about this initially, that he was even releasing an album, that he was retiring the Gambino persona, name, artist. I didn't know that was happening, but it is, and it's happened. The final album under the name of Gambino is out, and that's it. That is the end, ladies and gentlemen, and my God, I mean this in the best way possible. What a fucking musical flex. This album is crazy. Now, I'm not in love with every single song on it, which is probably what you would expect from any album, but that does not mean that I cannot see what's going on and appreciate the like insanity that this album is, because that's exactly what it is. I heard somebody say, there's a song in this album that really blew up on like social media and TikTok and stuff like that, Lithonia, and that sparked a lot of conversation around not only the song, which I'm going to talk about because it's pretty funny, but also about Gambino in general. And I saw some people saying that they think Gambino is the most talented, successful artist of our generation, which, you know, depending on when you're born, it depends on generation at this point, but I kind of have to agree. I'll get to that in a minute, but so in general, this album feels like a love letter to the entire art of making music, the entire craft. His final goodbye as he retired the Gambino persona, and just a tribute to making music as a whole. I haven't listened to Gambino specifically on purpose in ages. I have one or two songs sprinkled in my playlist here and there, but I never really did. I wasn't super into Gambino. I knew of him, and for that one person in particular who's listening to this right now, known as Josh, which is my brother, he was the OG Gambino enjoyer. He's been around from the beginning, and that's the only reason I ever knew who Gambino was, and by proxy learned to like some of his stuff. So I knew he was going to be excited about this, and he is. So I never really listened to much of Gambino. I knew some of his older shit. I really liked Bonfire, 3005, Sober, Feels Like Summer, which is not as old as the other stuff. But those are all pretty popular ones. Like, that's, if you're going to say you're a fan of Gambino, like, that's not that surprising. Other than the only thing I left out that would be like, This Is America, of course. But I basically never just sat down and listened to a full album, really, of anything. I don't do that. I don't know why. It's just, I don't have the mental capacity and patience. I have too much going on in my brain to sit down and just listen to a whole album, especially like a new release. Most of the artists that I follow in the space that I'm into, albums just aren't as popular. And really, this is like a thing with the music industry in general, is albums are significantly less common than they used to be, even just like 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Singles and collabs have become like the dominating factor, both because of social media and just the way that streaming has evolved and become really fucking shitty. But I for the first time, I actually did sit down and listen to a whole album, a new release even, all the way through. Well, this time it was convenient because my drive home from work, depending on traffic, is anywhere between 30 and 40 minutes, which, might I say, it's fucking crazy that I drove home for 40 minutes and didn't even finish an album. 40 consecutive minutes of produced art is crazy. And there was still like more left, multiple songs left when I got home. Like, that's fucking wild. But boy, boy was I surprised when on a whim I decided, you know what? Let's take a listen. Fuck it. Let's take a listen to Gambino's final album. Like, come on, that's That's such a crazy statement. We have to, right? We have to. For the sake of the art, for my brother who's such a big fan, like I have to be involved. So I said fuck it, and I put it on. And boy was I surprised when the first track, Hearts Were Meant to Fly, just starts with intense dubstep like rhythm one shots, just boom, boom, boom. Like I would play segments of it, but I would probably a bad idea, but what the fuck? See, what I kind of realized afterwards is like later in the song Got to Be, like, holy shit, he did it again with like this sickest fucking bass line and edited vocals that they kind of blend together. And I should have seen this coming, because that's when I realized this shouldn't surprise me, because he's done this shit before. And I didn't really realize that Gambino did that, but he does, and he has. And not in a lot of songs, but in the ones that I used to know of and that I liked for obvious reasons, they would include edited vocals, like heavily processed, usually pitched down, format shifted with like some distortion or like redux on them. And then just like these nasty fucking bass lines and like 808s, just like these subs. It's just crazy. And I should have seen that coming, because he's done stuff like that before. An Algorithm, for example, it's addicting. Like the flow, the bass, the like grungy lyrical vocals. It's so satisfying, man. It's so satisfying. So in Got to Be, he delivered with that shit. He did it again. Man, it sounds cool. I love that one. And then the first track, it's not so much, but just the fucking dubstep bass in a Gambino song, and the first song in an album just surprised me out of nowhere. I wouldn't say that any of his tracks in this album were like drum and bass or dubstep. He didn't go that far into the genre, but 100% you could call it bass music, 100%, which is cool. He didn't necessarily get into like super niche genres, but every single fucking song in that album was a classifiably different genre. No two of them were the same, which is just crazy. That's insane. Speaking about the social media stuff and the popularity that this album has gotten on places like TikTok, means we have to address Fart Buckle, which, if you don't know what this is, this was using his song Lithonia, which I believe, as far as I could remember, he dropped like a preview of this song for the album, just like a segment of it. And that's all people had to work with for I don't know how long, a little bit before it dropped. And somebody made a meme on TikTok where they used the audio from Lithonia, and they just drew over it with like this stupid fucking drawing of this character named Fart Buckle. And it was supposed to be a joke about like a D&D campaign, and how the dungeon master, like the character that no one cared about and forgot in your squad, is suddenly the D&D, the dungeon master brings up that character's name, Fart Buckle, in a last attempt to save your squad, and sacrifices himself. And then it uses the audio from Lithonia right in the chorus, where I feel liberated, over medicated, and like it was supposed to be all emotional, and like there's a quote where it's like Fart Buckle saves friends or something like that. It was just so stupid. It was so stupid. It was supposed to be like this emotional comedic response to like, no, Fart Buckle, no. And this meme took the fuck off. Everybody saw this one fucking stupid D&D fart buckle TikTok, and it just immediately glued itself to this song, and it did not separate. For like the next 2 weeks, even 3 weeks, all I've seen are just renditions on renditions of fart buckle memes with Lithonia in it. I saw so many people talking about how like this is Gambino's final album, his last tribute to the craft. And what does the internet do? They immediately take it and attach it to a meme called Fart Buckle. And that is what the entire song is associated to 3/4 of the internet, not, you know, a final artistic endeavor, which is just so fucking funny. And it's like exactly what would happen on the internet. But the big thing is like people were saying, I wonder if Gambino is annoyed and like thinks this is stupid, which is, you know, could be very true. Well, on his main TikTok account that he has, and it, you know, it could have been him, it could have been social media managers, but I saw a lot of people saying they don't care either way, that it's just fucking amazing. He referenced the meme. He did like a stupid little 2-frame drawing of like a little goblin, or no, of his like Gambino persona, just like sitting sadly in like a little cutesy art style with like the quote that's like, I saved friends or something like that, that Fart Buckle said. And like in the like, I don't even know what it's called, the description for the TikTok where you can write in stuff when you post it, he mentioned something about Fart Buckle. So Gambino himself acknowledged the meme on TikTok, which is just fucking hilarious. And like, of course he would. Of course he would. He's a funny guy. He's a funny guy. Man, his style is so unique. No part of you can basically pick almost any song on the new album. There's one or two that don't apply to this, but make sense for the genre that they are in. But for the most part, 90% of the album, if you pick a song, no part of the song sounds the same. Like there's almost no repetition. In lyrics, the beat, the fucking instruments, like everything is different almost always. It's crazy. For this album, he was pulling all the high level, top tier musical stops, offbeat rhythms, cutting stuff short at strange bar lengths, extended segments that feel very long but work. Like he's pulling all the weird high level shit, and it's very, very, very impressive. And he makes it all work too. It's just crazy how every single track both sounds different and is in a different genre. That's like, and there's so many too. I know albums are less popular now, and technically there's not an assigned length for how long an album should be in terms of songs, but there's so many. This album is so big. There's so many songs on it. I don't usually get like super inspired listening to new music, but like this album really like got the artistic juices flowing, dude. Got them flowing. And I think that is exactly what it was meant to do. And I think that's great. It's just such a pleasant appreciation for just art in general and the art of making music. It's great. There was some stuff here that I didn't write down that I was thinking about that I don't know if I'm going to be able to recall because my brain doesn't work very well. Oh Lord, what was it? Let me take a sip and think for a second. No, it's not really coming to me. I don't know. But there's so much to be said. I'm sure I could rant on this for like another hour if I had to. But it's just fantastic album, really cool artist. I saw people saying on TikTok in these comment sections and other places too. I've heard people say that Gambino is one of the greatest artists of our generation, like in terms of just good art, but also like successful. He's making a movie, he's made a TV show, he's made tons of music, he made this fucking album. He's a writer, he's director, like he's just done everything, man. He said, pick an art form and I'll do that. I'll do them all. And it's crazy. It's really, really cool. So what an artist, what a career, what a send off. That's, it's kind of melancholy, man. It's kind of crazy to think that he's not making music anymore, and he may never touch it again. You know, I don't know what it's like to be that far ahead in a career like that. If you would ever want to dip your toes back in or do anything again, I don't know if he's going to do like collabs still where like he'll guest star on other songs or stuff like that, or if he's just completely done with music. I think that's what it is. As far as I'm aware, he's retiring Gambino. Gambino's done. So there you go, man. Crazy stuff, which brings us to our not too long of a podcast episode today. Honestly, we're only at 46 minutes. We're actually on time today. But that brings us to our last topic, because we only have two today, breaking form a little bit, which freaking is, dude. Write that down. We're looking at Blade and Sorcery 1.0. This is pretty cool. For those of you that may not know, I am a connoisseur of VR. It's very fun. Love it. One of the games that I played that I didn't play a whole lot, but I did every now and then, was Blade and Sorcery, which is pretty much a staple for anybody that really likes VR, has probably heard of this. This is one of the many early access titles that exist in modern gaming and also VR in general. But this was like, man, this had to be one of the first games that really popularized. I mean, let's be honest, in general, in VR, there's just not much. There's really not anything. It has stayed extremely niche. It never really got out of that point. There's like so little highly developed games and so little incredibly popular games in VR. It's still like the ceiling is way down here. There is still so much room for tons and tons of shit. Sugar Bear, stop crying. Why are you crying, little baby? No, girl. No, ma'am. But for the longest time, Blade and Sorcery was simply a sandbox where you fought old style medieval people with swords and bows, and some of them had magic that they could use, like staffs. They could cast fireballs at you and electrocute you and change the gravity of stuff. Like, it was fairly basic. It's just a sandbox game with a bunch of medieval weapons and magic, and you just fought enemies. What made it interesting and different at the time when it was first popular is this was one of the few games that introduced, like, how do I describe this? It's like a inverse kinematics mesh-based interactive fighting system with like the models of the enemies, which is hard to do in VR, but like you could actually stab things. Like you could actually put your knives and axes into the models of the enemies, and it would actually get stuck in there, and you could pull it out, and like really anything that you could think of doing in real life would actually mostly work in the game, which is just super cool. But this is one of the first games to do that. They have like some, I would call it rudimentary. It's not super complex, but they have like dismemberment, which is not a thing that was really in a like any VR game. You can cut off like, I think it's like the arms, the legs, maybe the torso, that may be a mod, and then the head. And it's like, it's very simple. Like it just cuts off at a single point. It's not super like intuitive and like dynamic. But it's still cool. There's like, I think there's bleeding mechanics. A lot of this, there's a lot of mods for the game that adds like some crazy stuff. But it's just fun. It's a fun little sandbox game to jump in and act like a crazy knight or a marauder slaughtering a bunch of people in an arena or something. It's fun. It's fun. But as you can imagine, this kind of game would fall into the hands of a very niche amount of people that would enjoy it for what it is for however long that they're into it, depending on the niche genre of people. For the most part, though, it was just a sandbox game that you would play around in every now and then when you felt like playing the game. It was not really a game. It was kind of like Gary's mod, but for medieval arena fighting. So pretty quickly, mods started coming out, and it started changing the game a lot, and it gave the game a lot more replayability, a lot of fun, and people continued to give the game life for what it was with a ton of crazy mods, adding entirely new mechanics that were never in the game, like a bleed out system, actual mesh deformation. So if you smack some guy in the head, his head would actually cave in. Added like knocking people out, a bunch of like gore mods to make it more gruesome, even though VR games are not really that gruesome. But the mods kept it alive, which was cool. And they added everything you can think of, including swapping models where you'd see Master Chief and Hatsune Miku coming at you with a lightsaber, like in an AK, like everything. They had everything. But even with the mods, I didn't play much of it. I think on Steam, I had 12 hours. And then before I had bought the game, I had torrented it, and I probably only played like 6 or 7 that way. Probably even less. Like, I barely played the game, but it was fun for what it was. Well, in a shocking turn of events for both gaming in general in the modern day and for VR games, Blade and Sorcery officially came out of early access and released the 1.0 full release of the game. Blade and Sorcery is finished and it's out. And that is it, which is crazy and honestly really, really cool because that almost never happens at all anymore with any game. So that's just crazy. Before, I would really just kind of hop on with mods and fool around. Wouldn't really do much. But now it's an actual game. They added, they changed everything basically. So in early access, they gave you access to everything. All abilities, everything that they had made up until that point. Once the game released, they fundamentally changed everything. Now it's an actual game where you have to progress. You have to unlock all your abilities. You start with like nothing. And they added an entirely new mode called Crystal Hunt, I think is what it's called, where basically you go on procedurally generated dungeon crawling missions, and there's like AI enemies scattered around that you have to fight, and you collect loot. And if you make it to the end, there's like a chest room where you can collect a bunch of higher tier loot, and then you end that run, and then you can go sell it. There's like an entire market where you can sell and buy stuff, and you have currency in the game now. And this is not like modern games where it's like premium actual money currency. It's just like in-game currency, which, by the way, is fucking amazing. Please, no microtransactions. We're so sick of them. But you can use that in-game currency to buy armor, gear, weapons. And there's stuff, the Crystal Hunt. The whole point is that there's like these crystal shards that you get to, like 1 per level usually. And you use those to unlock different powers and abilities in the game. So like there's just an entire progression system, and it's an actually fully fleshed out game, which is crazy. And like they added some voice acting. very cool. It's actually really fun this way. It makes it like so much more rewarding, and there actually feels like there's consequences for doing anything, whereas before it was just purely sandbox and spawn in anything you want. But now, if you want to try a different weapon and you want to actually take it with you into like a run, you have to be able to buy it, because you can't take in weapons that you just pick up and find. They don't come with you when you finish. So you have to actually save up currency and like buy that new sword that you want to try or something. Like, it's pretty cool. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. There's a big thing. So if you care about this game, it's not really a game to say much that there's spoilers. Really, like, spoilers is not a super big thing because it's not really a story game. But if you're worried about that at all, I would definitely skip this section. So content warning for you there if you care about spoilers for Blade and Sorcery. But there is a boss fight. I don't know if there's multiple boss fights, but so far there's only one, which for a game like Blade and Sorcery, where it's sandboxy hand-to-hand combat, the idea of like a boss fight is not something that really exists in VR at the moment. You get to this big old arena and there's this giant like rock golem that when you're standing in VR is like 4 heads higher than you. Like, he's huge and he's got like this big mega buster thing on his arm and he moves real slow, and the game makes you fight him. It gives you multiple ways to fight him, but it's just, what's this old game? Oh man. Shadow of the Colossus. It's like a Shadow of the Colossus thing where you're fighting this giant monster in front of you and you have to physically scale the monster to attack him in certain weak spots and like break open places where he's holding crystals and shatter the crystals to weaken him. And there's like multiple ways to go about it, but it's cool. It's cool as shit. And like, physically seeing an enemy that's like 5 times bigger than you in VR and then having to physically climb him and attack stuff is crazy. It feels wild. It's very fun. It's very cool. So 10 out of 10, Blade and Sorcery 1.0. Highly recommend. I think it's one of my basically favorite games in VR at this point, especially in its own style and genre. There's not really anything else like it. So W for Blade and Sorcery 1.0. And let's take a look at where we are. Yeah. 57 minutes. We actually managed to have an hour-long podcast today, which I don't really care too much about the time. I used to try and shoot for an hour. Nowadays, I mean, it doesn't really matter, to be honest. It kind of feels shorter an hour, but, you know, I was sick and we got something out there, so that's what matters. All right. So since we only had 2 topics today, we're already there. We're at that time, which you guys are going to grow to love, which is questions section. So this is tradition at this point in the podcast, but as you guys know, we have a question section. Now, usually we're live when we record this podcast on Twitch, which is twitch.tv/NU_11 official. If you would like to check the podcast out, we are live every 2 weeks. But if we're live on Twitch, you're welcome to join. You can ask some questions in the chat. I may respond to you during the podcast. If I don't, I will respond to any questions that you leave at this section right now. There's also plenty of other ways to send in question, comments, or concerns that we will respond to on the podcast. If you'd like to send in to an email, we have a Gmail set up, which is NU11sectorpodcast@gmail.com. All that I ask is that in the subject line, you put whatever you want your name to be, -podcast question, and then in the body of the email, write whatever you would like, and I will respond to it in the next podcast during the section. If you prefer to do it on Reddit, we have a Reddit, which is NU11 sector. On there, there's a flair called podcast question. You can leave one there. I'll respond to it here. Basically anywhere where I do content, leave a question, comment, or concern, and we'll respond to it right here. That's pretty much it, boys. It's that time. Thank you for the immaculate vibes, for hanging with me. And I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. As always, you can find the audio version of this podcast on NU-11 on my YouTube channel. It's all, did I say audio? I meant video. The audio version is on Spotify, of course, which you're currently listening to. It's also on Pocket Casts. The video version is on my second channel, which is NU-22. Keep an eye out for all my other forms of content, like on my main channel, where I make music-related videos, and where I post all my music, which is Null, which is NU-11. That's pretty much it, boys. Time has come. So I will see you guys on next Monday. Love you guys. Peace out. Have a great fucking day or night or whatever time it is. Okay. Goodbye.